Want to make a guess how much is this?
5,000.
It's actually triple of that.
Guess the price point of these.
Each is worth about 200 to 300.
No, they're about 1.2k.
Investing is no longer just about stocks and bonds. Alternative investments such as fine wine, handbags, and even toys are now easily accessible. But how do they fit into your investment strategy, and what should you consider before diving in? Let's try it out. We are here with Mark Tan, founder of One Collectibles, which specializes in sports and Pokemon cards and other types of memorabilia. Mark, could you tell us a bit more about how you started collecting cards?
We can't all own Monets and we can't all own Van Gogh, but we can own a Pikachu with a story. You know, we can own a Erling Haaland with a story. We can own the Beckham with a story. As a kid, I wanted to own something that I could call mine. So I started starting my business at 18.
So what's the one thing we should bear in mind before investing in collectible cards?
It's really tempting to try to see what the upside of something is, but I think most of the time, you need to really appreciate the things that you buy because you never know where the price is going to be in the future.
Collecting cards is not just a passionate hobby. It can be a lucrative investment if you know what to buy.
This is Masaki Gengar. So this card comes from 1999. It's graded at PSA 9. The highest grade you can get for a card is 10. I would say a raw piece, that means it's an ungraded copy, goes for between 4 to 500 Singapore dollars. This is a 9.
I'm guessing about 3 to 4k.
Okay, this is 1.5k.
Okay.
But if it becomes a PSA 10, it becomes 20.
Wow.
So 50,000 of these cards were produced. However, they were milled. It was kind of like a trade-in special kind of thing.
Okay.
So you need to take a certain card and ship it to Nintendo back in 1999 and they'll ship you this. They just shoved it in the mail and sent it back. So a lot of cards came back damaged. So a 10 became really, really expensive.
Now here's another example of why you need to stay updated on market trends and know the value of your cards. Here are 2 Erling Haaland cards with different price tags.
And one of them, if you notice, has this logo here that says RC. So this is his rookie card. So a rookie card means it's the first appearance of Haaland in a hobby product. This is $400. However, this one is worth $750. So this is almost 2 times the price of this.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but even though this is just a common piece, it's graded PSA 10, this is actually more desired in someone's collection than an autograph.
But it's autographed though?
Yeah, so it's actually a big misnomer in our industry that autographs are worth more than base cards because he's going to be signing a lot more.
And then this is the OG.
Yeah, this
OG
is
card,
kind of
right?
like the OG. So you cannot get any older than this, you cannot get any more first than this.
It's been really interesting chatting with Mark. He shared something which all investors face at one point or another, that timing the market perfectly is basically impossible.
If you're talking about mistakes, I bought a ton of Munch collections at $5-6 per piece. Because I used to work in Japan and at some point I managed to amass like 200 pieces of each Munch, except for the expensive ones. When it went up to $20, I sold away 180 pieces of them and left 20. And now the card per piece is about 1.4k. So if I were kept that, it's a HDB that I could sell it for.
Thanks to Mark, I've now learned a bit about investing in cards, and I can see myself possibly getting an EV card because it's really cute. But there's another alternative investment I like to explore, something that more Singaporeans are having a thirst for. Insurance specialist Dennis Neo has been collecting whisky for over 5 years, since 2018. Could you tell me a bit more about how you started and why you decided to start a whisky collection?
Firstly, I do enjoy whiskies. Generally, I like to collect old Scotch and Japanese whiskies. I like to keep the ones that I truly enjoy. It didn't really start as an investment, but now that I've amassed this amount, I managed to even track it on an Excel sheet and all. And from there, I managed to see it as a worthwhile investment.
To start investing in whisky, you could put your money in individual bottles or a whole cask. Factors that determine which ones are worth snapping up include scarcity, age, and brand.
This bottle by itself have already made me 9 times the ROI of it. So it started at 500 and at this moment it's about 4.5k in the retail market.
Wow.
I wouldn't say that all investments are going to make me money, but at least this is one of the positive outcome of this specific bottle. Unfortunately, I got another bottle that looks very similar to this. I was just excited to buy because, oh, it's another $500 bottle that looks about the same. My whiskey friends, they all managed to point out that, hey, Dennis, this is a fake bottle. And to me, it was really shocking. the liquid looks a bit off. Now if you give me the same scenario, I would definitely spot it, because you can still see there's whiskey inside, but the tone of it is just like maybe one shade lighter.
Lesson learned: it's safest to buy direct from a distillery or a trusted whiskey merchant, not from Carousell like Dennis. But if you do, you might want to bring along a friend who knows this stuff. Now it's time to find out which is the most expensive whiskey on the table. Well, I'm gonna convert today. I'm gonna guess this one because it's 21 years old and it has a very nice, fancy looking bottle.
Good choice, but the oldest is actually this. Want to make a guess how much is this?
5,000?
It's actually triple of that. It's 15,000.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because it's a limited edition and there's only about 100 bottles in this world.
Wow. It's very smooth. So your uncle gave you this bottle a few years ago?
During COVID.
Okay.
He was telling me that, hey, this is open, so just drink it.
Oh, it must be his favourite nephew.
I guess.
This might be the first whiskey that I've ever liked. I wish I had assignments like this every day. But seriously, what do I make of alternative investments? Well, they are a good way to diversify your portfolio and potentially generate higher returns than traditional investing. But one downside is that they are less liquid, meaning you might not be able to sell them quickly and get your money in a few days. Always remember, it's important to understand the risks involved before making any purchases.
There's no such thing as I'm a newbie, I need to do whatever anybody asks me. No, there's no such thing. In the really
Actually, no, but that's a real question though. The really is real. Like I remember on my first day, I'm like, I'll do anything. Like, you know, because you just don't know.
Oh my god, same. When I first started working, I was like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, like you don't deserve better because you haven't
like, can say
earned
no,
it
man.
yet, right?
Oh, yeah, can say no, man.
I hope this episode was helpful for those of you thinking about diving into alternative investments. For more adulting tips, subscribe to our Head Start newsletter.